Across Instagram, there's a kind of profile that always catches people off guard. A page with no posts, no photos, no memories on display, just silence. But behind that silence, there's psychology. And today, we're diving into the hidden reasons why some people choose to disappear digitally. The first psychological reason someone might have zero Instagram posts is minimalism. Not the aesthetic, but the mindset. For these people, life doesn't need to be documented to feel real. They don't require photos to prove that a moment mattered. They don't see experiences as content, they see them as memories meant to be lived, not displayed. Minimalist personalities value silence. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they don't want to say everything. They don't chase validation or attention. In a world where everyone speaks loudly online, they move quietly, calmly, intentionally. For them, privacy is not secrecy. Privacy is peace. And paradoxically, their silence becomes a presence. In a digital world filled with noise, the person who shares nothing stands out the most. Their blank page becomes an identity of its own. It signals clarity, confidence, and a refusal to perform. Their life is lived, not broadcast. For some people, having no Instagram posts isn't about simplicity. It's about fear. For them, posting feels like stepping onto a stage with bright lights, where everyone can see them and judge them. The moment they think about sharing something, a voice in their mind whispers, "What if it's not good enough? What if people think it's cringe? What if I get ignored?" So they choose the safest option, to post nothing at all. These individuals often overthink every detail. The angle, the lighting, the caption, even how people might interpret their smile. They compare their unfiltered life to the perfectly curated feeds of others, and in that comparison, their confidence collapses. Overthinking becomes a cage, and silence becomes protection. For them, posting is not casual. It is a performance. Every post feels like an announcement, every photo a declaration. And with that pressure, perfection becomes the requirement. If a post doesn't feel flawless, it gets deleted before anyone can see it. And here's the paradox. People with no posts are often not the ones who don't care. They care deeply, too deeply, so deeply that posting becomes painful, vulnerable, and mentally exhausting. Silence is easier than disappointment. Hiding feels safer than being seen. Their blank page is not emptiness. It is armor. People have no Instagram posts for a very different reason. They genuinely don't care to. They don't see Instagram as something important. They don't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. Their self-worth isn't tied to likes, comments, or engagement. They move through life with quiet confidence, unaffected by the pressure to display themselves. These individuals prefer real experiences over digital displays. They value privacy, but not out of fear, out of choice. They don't post because they don't need to. They don't seek validation. They don't need online applause to feel complete. Their confidence comes from within, not from the reaction of others. To the independent archetype, being mysterious is not a strategy. It's a natural outcome of living privately. They enjoy being unreadable, not in a manipulative way, but simply because they're not interested in broadcasting their life. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's depth that doesn't need to be explained. For them, privacy is power. not because they're hiding, but because they don't feel the need to be seen. Their life belongs to them, not to an audience. Their memories are lived, not curated. A blank Instagram page doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means not everything needs to be shown. Some people don't post on Instagram not because they dislike the app, but because they enjoy watching more than participating. They are the observers, the silent users, the ones who scroll through stories, read captions, study behavior, all without leaving a digital footprint. For them, Instagram is a window, not a stage. Observers are fascinated by people. They notice patterns, behaviors, moments, trends. They watch the lives of others unfold in silence. They don't feel the urge to promote themselves. They're more interested in understanding than being understood. Posting feels unnecessary when observing feels natural. Many observers are introverts. They conserve their energy. They don't seek attention, and the idea of being the center of it feels draining. They engage internally, thinking deeply, feeling quietly, but rarely showcase that inner world online. Their silence is not emptiness, it is emotional economy. And ironically, the people who post nothing often have the most going on internally. Observers are thinkers, processors, evaluators. They may appear silent online, but their inner world is vivid and detailed. A blank page doesn't mean nothing matters. Sometimes it means everything is being felt quietly. Some people have 0 posts because they deliberately erased everything, not out of boredom, but out of emotional necessity. For them, deleting posts is the same as deleting a chapter. A digital reset, a psychological fresh start. When life shifts, they want their online identity to shift with it. Many resets happen after breakups. Old photos become painful reminders. Old captions feel like timelines of a version of themselves they've outgrown. So they delete everything. Not to forget, but to release. The blank page becomes healing. For some, deleting posts is a rebirth, a quiet reinvention, a way to let go of who they used to be. They don't want their online identity tied to outdated memories. They want room to grow, room to become someone new. Their emptiness is transformation. Here's what people never say out loud. It takes courage to erase your digital past, to delete years of moments, to wipe away versions of yourself that felt safe, to start again with nothing. But for the reset archetype, a blank page is not loss. It is liberation. People have no posts because they deeply value privacy, not secrecy, privacy. They want their life to belong to them, not to strangers, not to acquaintances, not to an invisible crowd watching behind screens. Their choice isn't avoidance. It's protection. Privacy seekers don't post because they like controlling who has access to their world, to their face, to their emotions, to their daily life. They don't want their memories floating in algorithms. They don't want their moments becoming data points. Their silence is intentional protection. For the privacy-focused personality, boundaries are emotional safety. Sharing online feels too open, too exposed, too permanent. They prefer keeping their inner life shielded from judgment, comparison, or misunderstanding. They live openly in real life and quietly on the internet. Privacy seekers value depth over display. They don't post because life feels more real when it isn't constantly photographed. Their relationships are intimate, Their moments are personal. Their emotions are shared only with people they trust. Their blank Instagram feed isn't empty. It's sacred. Some people stop posting because they're exhausted by social media. Not bored. Exhausted. The endless scrolling, the filtered perfection, the pressure to stay updated, the dopamine highs and lows. It all becomes too much. So they retreat, not to disappear, but to breathe. Human attention wasn't built for constant overstimulation, notifications, messages, updates. It creates a mental load that slowly drains your energy. For some, posting feels like another responsibility, another performance, another thing to manage. So they stop. Social media creates emotional burnout, comparison, pressure, information overload. It wears people down slowly until posting feels pointless and silence feels like relief. No posts doesn't mean no life. It means they're protecting their energy. For the fatigued mind, silence becomes healing. Pulling back from social media feels like returning to yourself. They stop posting not because they have nothing to share, but because they finally want a life that isn't constantly interrupted by the urge to share. Their blank page becomes peace. Some people don't post because they're not interested in being watched. They're interested in watching. These are the analytical minds, the pattern readers, the silent thinkers who observe human behavior like a puzzle. They use Instagram to understand people, not to show themselves. Analytical personalities notice patterns others ignore. How people caption their photos, who interacts with whom, the timing, the consistency, the themes. They see Instagram as a map of social dynamics, not a place to decorate with pictures. For analytical minds, posting feels unnecessary. They're not chasing attention, not seeking expression, not trying to impress anyone. They quietly study the room instead of standing in the center of it. They aren't hiding. They're processing. They'd rather understand others than work to be understood. They enjoy observing the world quietly, piecing together insights without feeling the need to share their own. Their blank feed isn't a mystery. It's focus. There are people whose identity thrives in quiet spaces. For them, having no Instagram posts is not a byproduct. It's part of who they are. Their sense of self isn't built through visibility. It's built through introspection. They don't need to be seen to feel real. Some people feel that online identity is exaggerated, amplified, louder than life. They prefer authenticity that isn't filtered through algorithms or audiences. Their silence is their truth. For these personalities, invisibility is freeing. No comparisons, no expectations, no pressure to impress. A blank Instagram page becomes a sanctuary, a digital space untouched by judgment or noise. To them, silence is freedom. So what does it really mean when someone has no Instagram posts? It could be minimalism. It could be fear. It could be confidence, privacy, exhaustion, reinvention, or simply a mind that prefers silence over display. A blank Instagram feed doesn't define someone. It reveals the complexity behind them, because sometimes the quietest people have the loudest inner world. Now that you've seen all the different psychological reasons why some people have no Instagram posts, I want to ask you something. Which one of these archetypes do you relate to the most? Are you the minimalist, the observer, the independent, the resetter, or the one who just prefers silence? drop your number or your archetype in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious how many of you fit each one. And if you want more breakdowns like this, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.